What's up guys, I'm Tana, this is Cheshire, and this is Raven, and we make up the TRC household. Today I want to talk about what seems to be the biggest topic in the reptile community, which is what is the best beginner reptile, is there one, and which is the best one for you? Grab your drink of choice, I got apple juice today, and let's get it. Cheers! There's so many different options to reptiles that you can get. What seems to be the most popular beginner options for reptiles are ball pythons, boa constrictors, crested geckos, bearded dragons. I'm not sure what else. There might be more, I just can't think of any more. I'm gonna start this video off strong and tell you what I think. I think that there's no best beginner reptile. I think the best beginner reptile for you is the one that you're willing to put the work and research into. Don't cancel me. But I do seriously mean that. Like, let's talk about ball pythons. I feel like there's such a back and forth on getting a ball python as your first snake. Are they actually the best beginner reptile, or are they a lot of maintenance and a lot of hard work and a lot of uncertainty, and that's why they're not the best beginner reptile? I grew up with dogs. I have my own dog as an adult, and so I honestly feel like if you have any experience owning a dog or a cat, you can own any reptile. I don't know. Like, for me, a ball python, the only things that are weird is the inconsistency in feeding. If you're able to understand that and understand that they need strict requirements as far as their humidity, their temperature, their feeding, like, you're fine. Because of the popularity of ball pythons, I think everybody thinks that they're extremely tolerable and that, you know, you can go a little bit outside the parameters and they'll be fine. And I just think they're a lot more strict than a boa constrictor. When I redid his entire enclosure, he stayed in a temporary enclosure, which did not have his normal setup for like 3 days and did not have his normal humidity, did not have his normal lighting, and he was completely fine. A ball python, I feel like, would be a little bit more stressed out in those circumstances. Like I said, my first reptile was a ball python, and he did go 2 months without eating, but I literally rearranged his enclosure and he ate just like that. So as long as you're able to just take some time to understand your animal, I think you can have any single animal. With that said, I do want to put emphasis on chameleons. I feel like they're beautiful animals. Everybody wants one. They are stunning, but they are so sensitive. Seriously, like, you really need to give that one, I feel like, more attention than you need a dog. So if you're gonna get a chameleon, I don't recommend that to be your first animal. I think that's the only one that I would say don't do that. I also might say monitors aren't the best beginner animal. In my opinion, as a first reptile, I want something that's easy. I want something where, like, I can make mistakes and I can learn and the animal is gonna be okay. A chameleon is not that. A monitor, I don't really think is that either. I feel like monitors are the equivalent to a dog. I feel like they need to be fed, they need to be exercised, they need to be handled, especially if you want to train them to be calm. I feel like that's just a lot of work that you need to put in with that animal. I feel like personally, with all of my expertise, which is not that much, I would say that the best beginner reptile is a snake of some sort. I don't think that there's a specific species that I would say is the best. Again, if you're able to understand snakes and you put your research and your time into learning that animal, you can get a ball python, you can get a hognose, you can get a boa, you can get a corn snake, whatever other kinds of snakes you can get one. I wouldn't go and get a venomous snake. I would say no to that, because that's just insane. Why would you do that in the first one? For me, honestly, a ball python and a boa constrictor have been pretty easy for me. I would say that the boa constrictor is actually a lot easier. I've never had him miss a meal. He's always wanted to eat. He sheds pretty consistently, and he's so sweet. He's so sweet. I've never had an issue with him. My ball python never bit me. He did bite my ex, which I feel like same. And he did have inconsistencies eating. His sheds were very random, and I just feel like they were a lot more sensitive. Those parameters for ball pythons are narrow, and you really want to stick to those. I feel like with the boa constrictor, if they fall out a little bit, it's okay. Obviously, you don't want to do that, but if it happens, at least they're tolerable to it. I honestly don't know that much about corn snakes. I don't know that much about hognose. Granted, by the way, before anybody comes at me, I know hognoses do have a little bit of venom that doesn't really affect humans unless you're allergic. So I know I said something about venomous. I guess hognoses technically are venomous. Again, don't cancel me, guys. I know a lot of people opt for corn snakes as their first snakes as well. I don't know that much about them, but they seem to be great. Like, how do you not just want one? He's just so cute. Again, I do not have a crested gecko. I don't have any type of lizards. I don't have a bearded dragon, so I don't even have really any experience with that. But from what I've heard, I would just say the only turnoff for me if I were to get one, and again, everything is personal. Some people started with crested geckos and now they have a bunch and they love them and they would never get a snake. So it really is just personal and whatever you like, whatever interests you. You don't want to start off with a ball python just because everybody says that ball pythons are the best beginner animal and then you hate them and you'd rather have a crested gecko. Go get the crested gecko. you. Just go do the research first. For me, I would say the turnoff for me when I was considering my first reptile was the live bugs. I don't want to raise dubio roaches. I don't want to raise crickets. I don't want to have worms. No, I'm not doing it. I'm sorry, that is not for me. For anybody that remembers when I rehomed a chameleon, having dubio roaches in my house was sending me into orbit, like actually. Even for my tarantula that I have, I literally go to PetSmart and I get one cricket. I don't care. I do not care. I will do it all day long before I ever start breeding crickets. Absolutely not. So if you're like me, any of those animals that do require live bugs probably isn't going to be a great beginner animal unless you're willing and ready to get over that fear off the rip. But again, you don't want to get into that and then you realize, oh shit, I'm still scared of live bugs, and then now what? Your animal's starving? Like, don't do that. I just say that snakes win here again because it's frozen food. You keep it in your freezer. Sure, it's a little weird at first, but like, you never have to touch a live bug. You're only feeding them once a week, then every other week, and then eventually you'll only feed them once a month. So like the maintenance, you guys, I'm telling you, snakes win here. Snakes take the cake. I'm sorry, in every situation, I'm gonna say snakes win here. And I'm not biased, I swear. I am totally biased, I'm sorry. So to end this argument, because I'm always right and everything I say goes, I say that snakes win here for almost every category. Your maintenance is very low. You don't have to deal with live bugs. They're very docile. They're cool to watch. They're cool to hold. They come in different sizes. So if you want to get a boa constrictor that's going to get huge, or you want to stay with a corn snake that's going to stay small, like you have your options. You have your colors. You have different temperaments. There's so many options with snakes. And so as long as you're able to just go through and be okay with the parameters that it actually just needs to live, you're fine, you're chilling. I feel like other animals are great and I don't want to try to knock them because I absolutely love leeches. Anybody that has been following me knows that I'm actually secretly obsessed with leeches. As soon as I can save up like 10 grand and get an all black leechie, I'm there, I'm not kidding. I think all of the other ones are absolutely great. If you're okay with feeding live bugs, honestly, I would say crested geckos are the way to go. They're so cute. I get terrified every time they jump because the first time I ever held one, it jumped on my face. I keep a safe distance from crested geckos, but for a beginner animal, I absolutely think they're amazing and they're so cute. They're so cute. So what do we learn in this video, and what is the answer to the famous question of what's the best beginner reptile? Whichever one you're gonna love, whichever one you're gonna care for, and whichever one you're gonna put the time in for. If you don't know where to start, I would say look into different types of snakes. And if you do already have some idea about reptiles, and if you're fine with feeding live animals, I would say either a snake again or a crested gecko. Yeah, I think that's what I'm locking in. I think they're absolutely so cute. In the comments below, I would love to hear what your first reptile is, and I would love to hear if you would say that that's the best beginner reptile for people, or if you think that along the way after you got other reptiles, if you think there's another best reptile for beginners. I'm so curious. Please let me know, and thanks for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you loved it and you agree with me because I'm always right, or give it a thumbs down if you hated it. You better not. And most of all, stay kind, curious, goofy, and spooky, and we'll see you next time. Bye!